Rain slammed against the glass walls of Armitage International Academy, a fortress of marble and ambition perched on the city's highest hill. Inside, a single light burned in an otherwise dark library. A boy stood there, blazer-soaked, hands trembling, staring at a red-marked exam paper lying on the oak desk. 58%. Failed. Again. Behind him, a voice broke the silence. "It's never the questions that fail you," she whispered. "It's the way you choose to look at them." He spun around. An old woman with silver-streaked hair and tired eyes looked up from stacking books. Her badge read, "Night Librarian." He had never noticed her before. But that night, she noticed everything about him. "Who are you?" he demanded. "The last person this school would ever expect to save you," she replied. Name, Elias Crawford at 17, heir to a real estate empire, enrolled at Armitage not because he was brilliant, but because his last name carved doors open. He arrived each day in a black SUV, eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses. Grades were supposed to come easy. At least, that's what he'd always been told. But the midterm results shattered that illusion. Mathematics, 58%. Literature, 61%. History, 54%. Physics, 49%. He wasn't just failing. He was the lowest in his year. At Armitage, that wasn't embarrassment. It was public execution. Results were pinned on glass boards in the central atrium. Students whispered as he walked past. "How's Crawford Jr. gonna buy his way out of this one? He probably thinks grades are negotiable." Even the teachers had started giving up. His father, stern, silent, terrifying, said just one sentence at dinner that night. "If you fail finals, you're out of the country." Military boarding school. No arguments. For the first time in his life, Elias had no safety net. Elias tried the usual fixes. Private tutors, he dismissed them after one session each, calling them boring. Cheat sheets, confiscated during mock exams. All-nighters led to more blank pages and headaches. His arrogance was cracking, but pride kept him from asking for help. One night, after another failed mock paper, he wandered into the library after hours, hiding from his classmates' stares. The library at night was different, silent, glowing under golden lamps. And there she was, the night librarian, quietly shelving thick, dusty volumes in a rhythm like a metronome. "You're not supposed to be here this late," she said without looking up. "I'm not supposed to be failing either," he shot back. She paused. "Most students fear the silence here. You look like it's the only place left." He didn't know how to respond. She pointed at the crumpled exam in his hand. "Show me." "You wouldn't understand," he muttered. "Try me." He slid the math paper forward, messy equations, crossed-out attempts, half-solved problems. She glanced over it once. "You're not failing because you're stupid," she said calmly. "You're failing because you think the questions respect your status." He frowned. "What does that even mean?" She leaned closer. "These problems don't care who your father is. They only care if you're humble enough to read them." He felt a sting, not from her tone, but because deep down, it was true. "Come back tomorrow night," she said, turning away. "If you dare to start from zero." He laughed nervously. "Why would I take lessons from a librarian?" She stopped. "Because I've seen boys like you burn their potential at this very desk, and I'm tired of watching." And with that, she disappeared between the shelves. The next night, curiosity dragged him back. She was already there, 2 chairs pulled up to a long mahogany table, a single notebook and a chalk pencil laid neatly between them. "Sit," she said. He smirked. "Are you a secret math genius or something?" She didn't answer. Instead, she wrote on the board. "If 2x plus 3 is equal to 15, what is x?" He rolled his eyes. "That's baby math." Then solve it, she replied. He hesitated. Why are you hesitating? She pressed. Because it's stupid. No. Because you're afraid to fail again. The words hit harder than he expected. She made him solve problems from grade levels below his current. Each wrong answer earned only silence and a raised eyebrow, no ridicule, no pity. Hours passed. At midnight, the rain started again. And for the first time in months, Elias didn't check his phone. Why are you helping me? He asked quietly. She stacked another pile of books. Because once, someone helped me when nobody else would. And I promised I'd return the favor. The next few nights turned into a ritual. When the academy's halls emptied and the echo of polished shoes faded, Elias slipped into the library. The night librarian, Ms. Aria Lowell, was always waiting. No introductions. No warm-ups. Just pages, chalk, and quiet intensity. At first, she drilled him with basic problems, arithmetic, logic puzzles, sentence structures. He hated it. Why am I doing middle school exercises? He groaned one night. She didn't even look up. Because your foundation is a house of glass. We're rebuilding it brick by brick. He clenched his jaw, ready to argue, but the truth was undeniable. His pride had carried him into rooms his skills couldn't keep him in. Within 3 weeks, something strange happened. On the next unannounced quiz, Elias scored 78%, a jump no one expected. Whispers rippled through the class. Did he cheat? No way. Crawford actually studied. His math teacher, Mr. Henley, narrowed his eyes. Elias, interesting improvement. Care to explain how this miracle happened? Elias shrugged, trying to mask the hint of pride. Maybe I started paying attention. Henley smirked, unconvinced. But the improvement was real. Night after night, under the golden lamps, Elias faced his fears. Ms. Lowell never praised. She never pitied. She simply raised the bar every time he reached it. One night, as he solved a difficult logic proof, he muttered, I didn't think I could actually get this. She looked at him, eyes softer than usual. Most students wait for someone to rescue them. The smart ones learn to rescue themselves. For the first time, he didn't feel like the heir to a fortune. He felt like a student. As his scores improved, not everyone was pleased. The Academy's elite circle, led by a sharp-tongued student named Dorian Whitlock, top of the class and son of the board chairman, felt threatened. Crawford's sudden brain growth is suspicious, Dorian sneered in the cafeteria. Library ghosts doing your homework? Elias ignored him. But whispers turned to rumors. Rumors turned to accusations. One afternoon, Elias was summoned to the headmaster's office. Stern walls. Polished mahogany. Headmaster Yates, a man who saw students as investments. Elias, Yates began, your recent academic leap has raised eyebrows. Several faculty members question the authenticity of your work. Elias' heart pounded. You think I cheated? I think a boy who failed every mock paper and suddenly aces exams must provide clarity, Yates replied coldly. Where are you studying? He froze. Should he mention Ms. Lowell? No. If he did, they'd laugh. Or worse, remove her. I studied. That's it, he said firmly. Yates leaned back. Armitage has no room for deception. Remember that. As Elias left the office, Dorian brushed past him with a smirk. Enjoy your little blow-up, Crawford. It won't last. Weeks passed. Winter set in. The library became their fortress. One freezing night, as snow piled against the windows, Elias walked in to find Ms. Lowell coughing, her hands trembling slightly as she arranged books. You okay? He asked. Just age catching up, she replied with a thin smile. But he noticed something else. A faded newspaper clipping slipped out from one of her folders. He picked it up before she could stop him. Headline: Young Genius Aria Lowell wins National Logic Championship, breaking all records. The photo: a 20-year-old Aria, smiling proudly, medal around her neck. "This is you," Elias whispered. She froze. "Why are you a librarian here?" he asked softly. Silence filled the room. For the first time, she looked fragile. "Because genius means nothing when the wrong people control the narrative," she finally said. "I exposed academic fraud in my department decades ago. They buried me. Took my career. My name." Elias stared, stunned. She wasn't just helping him out of kindness, she was a brilliant mind erased by injustice. "So you hide here?" he asked. "No," she said firmly. "I wait. For someone who'll prove they can rise without shortcuts. Someone worth teaching everything I still have." And in that moment, something shifted. This wasn't tutoring anymore. It was legacy. The finals were 4 weeks away. Elias' schedule became brutal. Classes during the day. Library sessions from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Mock exams every weekend. He failed some. He aced others. But every failure now fueled him, instead of breaking him. One night, he collapsed onto the library floor after a brutal history mock. "I can't do this," he gasped. "It's too much." Ms. Lowell didn't console him. She pulled out a blank sheet. "Then start over. Right here. Right now." He glared at her. "Why don't you ever just tell me I'm doing okay?" She looked at him like he'd missed something obvious. "Because okay is the word that buries brilliance." That line stayed with him. The next day, he woke before dawn for the first time in his life. No chauffeur. No excuses. Just grit. 1 week before finals, disaster struck. Elias walked into class to find his locker broken into. His notes, mock papers, and study sheets were soaked in ink, unreadable. A crowd gathered. Dorian's voice echoed. "Looks like someone can't survive without their cheat sheets." Elias' fists clenched. He knew who did it. But confronting Dorian would waste time he didn't have. That night, he slammed the ruined notes on the library table. "It's over. Everything's gone." Ms. Lowell stared at the mess. Then at him. "No. Everything you need is in here," she said, tapping his forehead. "You expect me to remember months of work? No. I expect you to trust the mind you've built." That night, they didn't touch a single book. She quizzed him verbally, firing questions like bullets, walking circles around the table. He answered. Hesitated. Corrected himself. Hour after hour, until the ruined notes didn't matter anymore. The final exam week arrived like a storm. Snow blanketed the academy, bells echoed down marble halls, and for the first time in his life, Elias didn't feel fear walking into a test hall. Rows of students sat in silence. Invigilators paced like hawks. At the center, Dorian shot him a smug look, the kind that said, "I've already won." Elias ignored it. He opened the first paper. Math. The first few questions were exactly what he'd practiced. His pen flew. Then came a brutal logic puzzle, the kind that used to make him freeze. He closed his eyes, heard Ms. Lowell's voice echo. "Trust the mind you've built." He attacked the question like a warrior. Line by line, proof by proof. For the first time ever, the silence of the hall felt like power. On day 3 of exams, Headmaster Yates made a surprise announcement. Due to suspected misconduct, select students' exams will be reviewed under strict supervision. Elias' name was first on the list. Whispers rippled across the hall. Dorian smirked. Elias sat alone in a small room, 3 faculty members watching every move. No library. No notes. Just him and his rebuilt mind. Paper after paper, he wrote flawlessly under their gaze. No cheating. No shortcuts. Just earned brilliance. By the end of the session, one of the skeptical teachers leaned to Yates and whispered, "He's not cheating, he's outpacing the questions." Yates didn't respond. But something shifted in his eyes. Final day. History paper. Elias arrived early. As he approached his desk, he froze. An anonymous envelope lay on his seat. Inside, a cheat sheet filled with answers. A trap. He scanned the room. Dorian leaned casually against a pillar, watching. If he left it, it might look suspicious later. If he kept it, they'd accuse him. If he used it, it would undo everything. Elias raised his hand. "Sir, I found this on my desk." "It's not mine." The invigilator inspected it, confused. The head of discipline was called in. Meanwhile, whispers spread like wildfire. "He got caught. Told you it was fake." But Elias stood firm, unwavering. For once in his life, he had nothing to hide. What happened next was cinematic. Minutes before the paper began, a nervous junior student approached the invigilator. He stammered. I saw Dorian and his friends putting that there this morning." Gasps filled the hall. Yates was summoned. The investigation was swift, security footage confirmed it. Dorian's face drained of color as the headmaster read the report aloud. "Dorian Whitlock, you are hereby disqualified from the examinations. Effective immediately." The boy who ruled the academy with arrogance was escorted out of the hall in front of everyone. Elias didn't even smile. He simply picked up his pen and wrote. 3 weeks later, the academy gathered in the grand hall. Banners hung. Parents filled the balconies. Report cards were distributed like verdicts. Headmaster Yates cleared his throat. This year, Armitage Academy witnessed one of the most dramatic academic turnarounds in its history. A student who once ranked at the bottom has not only passed, but achieved the second highest overall score in the academy. A collective murmur spread. "Elias Crawford," Yates announced, "you have earned your place." Applause erupted. Some clapped in shock. Some in respect. For the first time, he wasn't applauded for his family name, but for his mind. As he walked off stage, he saw Ms. Lowell standing quietly at the back of the hall. No applause. Just a proud, knowing smile. He walked up to her. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he said, voice firm. "We did." She chuckled softly. "No, Elias. I just opened the door. You walked through it." Weeks later, Elias returned to the library late at night. Ms. Lowell was there, as always, rearranging shelves. But this time, he wasn't a student. He carried a binder, meticulously organized notes, exercises, explanations. "What's this?" she asked. "A program," he said. "For the students who are like me, the ones no one believes in. I want to run after-school sessions here, if you'll help me." For the first time, Ms. Lowell's eyes welled with tears. "Looks like you're ready to teach now." As snow fell outside, they began setting up tables together. The same library that rebuilt one broken student was about to become a sanctuary for many. Elias's journey wasn't about suddenly becoming a genius. It was about listening to the wisdom no one else noticed, and building the strength he always had inside. Sometimes, the people the world overlooks are the ones carrying the greatest lessons. And sometimes, the person everyone counts out becomes the one who changes everything. If this story moved you, drop a comment and tell us, have you ever met someone unexpected who changed your life? Hit like if you believe real transformation comes from within. And subscribe for more powerful true-style stories that will stay with you long after they end. Because here, every story carries a lesson worth remembering.